Definitely an interesting concept. Let's talk more about it. Khara Strum, Conservation Project Manager of the Working Lands Program at the Audubon Society, joins us live from Sacramento. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So help us understand, what does this sharing economy model bring to the table that other conservation models don't?
Well, this particular sharing model, we generally refer to it as a multiple benefit model. So we've been in the business now of creating multiple benefits on most of our conservation lands, so that there are benefits to birds, and in this case, benefits to farmers, and then also just environmental benefits. So that brings that being more efficient with the minimal resources that we have remaining.
So given what we're seeing with changing weather patterns and climate change, what other parts of the world might benefit from this model?
I think that really this model could be applied to any part of the world where there are stakeholders that are interested in sitting down together to have a conversation about how to perhaps lessen their environmental footprint.
And how well do you think the availability of the current land meets the needs of nature and the bird population at the moment?
The current land here in the Central Valley?
Yes.
I think we're doing a really great job working together here in the Central Valley. I think with the rice habitat that was described earlier and our permanent wetland habitat, we have a great synergy of habitat providing resources for the migratory birds.
And what are some of the downsides that might come with this practice?
So we don't really see a whole lot of downsides to this sort of temporary conservation practices. We do have some challenges that we face, and one of those is that it is a temporary model and it requires funding. And we would like to make this temporary model and the nimble model be something that is longer term, yet retains that ability to move around on the landscape where it's most needed.
So that turns to the issue of how sustainable this current model is, and how potentially might you adapt it to the future then?
Well, we're definitely going to be adapting this in the face of climate change to, again, put our resources and our conservation implementation where it's needed most so that we can do the most with our limited resources.
Now, one area of concern might be pricing, both for the farmers or those renting the land, especially during prime planting and bird migration seasons. So how do environmentalists determine the right price?
Right, so, the price of these conservation practices are determined by a myriad of a myriad of costs, depending on the land value, the water value, and really where it starts is with a conversation and getting people at the table to have the conversation about putting the practices on the ground.
And this is something that really could be useful in a lot of different industries. In fact, in the fight against deforestation in countries like Uganda, you have farmers who are just being banned from coming to this land rather than given a way to offset their losses. So how scalable is this sharing economy model for international use?
Again, I think that this model could be applicable anywhere that the various stakeholders, including the industry, the landowners, the environmentalists, are willing to come to the table to have that conversation about how they can work together and find their common ground.
And are there any plans to perhaps get the public sector involved in this as well?
Perhaps, yes. There may be a way to help sustain these practices through the public as well, yes.
And in terms of private organizations trying to get more funding and more investment in this sector, how can they incentivize people?
I'm sorry, I missed the first part of that question.
Sure. You mentioned about some of these conservation companies trying to get more funding and really try and expand this. What can they do to incentivize people to get more investment into this sector?
One of the things that we have been thinking about for a long time at Audubon, California is how to use a market-based approach, which is similar to this. So, for example, in that clip, you heard from Michael Bosworth, and he grows a diverse variety of rices on his property, and he has the means to actually market some of his rice as bird-friendly. So it's a way that possibly he can spread the message about the environmental qualities of the rice crop, and also be maybe reaping some income from that as well.
All right, thank you so much. Khara Strum there from the Audubon Society.